Today, we conclude our week-long series on examining executions, and we have a very personal and tragic story. Air Force Captain Jose Cobo was murdered when two men carjacked him outside of his San Antonio, Texas home. This was back in early 1997. Two men wanted his car for extra parts, and when things didn't go as they expected, they shot Cobo and then left him for dead in the middle of the street. Here's a look now at some of the news stories as they were reported back in 1997 in San Antonio.
Marco, did you do it?
I didn't do a damn thing.
But police and witnesses say he did.
Well, let them witnesses say whatever they want to say.
What they say is this, that 18-year-old Vincent Gutierrez, known to his friends as Flaco or Skinny One, is the teen who carjacked and murdered a 39-year-old Air Force captain here yesterday, taking off in Captain Jose Cobo's red Mazda RX-7 after shooting him and dumping his body on Northwest Loop 410.
We heard you were bragging about it at a bar. Is that true?
I'm only 18. How could I be at a bar? Oh, man.
Police say witness information backed up by evidence led to Gutierrez. Early reports indicate that a woman called police after a man bragged about the crime in a bar. Police say they picked up the teen around 4 o'clock this morning in the Alazan Apache courts.
What did you do with the car?
I didn't do nothing.
Police believe he abandoned it here on the city's south side shortly after the carjacking. Neighbors called police last night after seeing the car sitting here since Tuesday morning.
Star witness in the capital murder trial of 19-year-old Vicente Gutierrez and 18-year-old Randy Arroyo. Those two teenagers are charged with killing Captain Jose Cobo back in March of last year on the northwest side. Suaste told the jury that Gutierrez told him Cobo pleaded for his life.
He started talking to Randy, Vicente Gutierrez, and that's during that time that Mr. Cobo tried to jump out, and he got caught on a seatbelt. And that's when Randy Arroyo said, shoot him, he's gonna escape. And that's when Vicente Gutierrez shot him.
A jury deliberated more than 5 hours before handing down the death penalty tonight for both killers. As Michelle Bandua reports, it was an emotional time in the courtroom.
During the course of the 2-week trial, 18-year-old Randy Arroyo showed no emotion. Tonight, after hearing he will die by lethal injection, it was a different story.
I didn't do nothing about it. We know, Randy. I tried.
His partner in crime, 19-year-old Vincent Gutierrez, only grimaced and smirked as he did every day of the trial.
So you can see some of the reports there, and as it was mentioned there, the family members were there for the trial, and his brother Ruben gave reaction to the death sentence of his brother's killers.
Deep in our hearts, our brother isn't here anymore. It hurts just as much as their family must be crying, I guess, for the loss that their sons are going to lose. We lost our member already, and even if whatever verdict would have been, our brother's still gone.
Well, Ruben Cobo now joins me on the telephone to talk more about his brother's killers, one of whom was executed by lethal injection a year ago. Ruben, thanks so much for sharing this story with us. You were there to see the execution. Can you tell me what that was like for you?
Yes, I was there, and actually it's not as dramatic as some people may think it may be. I guess I'm speaking from my own case alone. Gutierrez had no remorse even to the last minute of breath that he took. He didn't even acknowledge my presence there, which I was only about 3.5 feet or so from him behind the glass. He only attended his view towards his family. And the last thing that he did actually was just take a breath, and he just went to sleep.
He just went to sleep, and which is in contrast to some of the stories we've been hearing all week as we've been talking about executions. And we're looking at file video of Gutierrez now. He was 19 years old. That's correct, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
At the time, the pictures we're looking at here, and he was laughing as though this was all a game. That must have been awfully disturbing for the family.
Yes, it was. It was extremely disturbing, simply because it seemed like he had no respect for life at all. And it was just a normal thing that he would probably do on a regular basis. It was just a joke.
He stayed on death row for what, just about 10 years?
Yes, approximately, I would say a little bit over 10 years, or 10 years exact.
And the time that he was on death row, oftentimes people who are on death row stay there for much longer than 10 years. Did you ever think that there would be a time when his day of execution would not happen?
No, actually, I didn't. The only time I actually felt that he might have been was able to get out of death row was when they passed a new law in Texas about if the crime was committed for a minor under the age of 18. Now they gave him, they got him out of death row and went into the general population. That was the only thing I was actually sort of worried about, it that he would get away with it so easily.
Yeah. And back during the trial, one of the defendants testified that your brother tried to get out of the car when he knew that pleading for his life would be of no concern to these men, and his seatbelt was actually restrained him from getting out as quickly as he could have. But the point that he was pleading for his life, he had already given them the car and had given them everything and complied with them, as I understand from the trial transcripts. Did he express anything at all towards that? Why they just didn't let him go?
He was trying to get an answer from them, as far as I understand, and he was trying to give them a little bit of feeling of who he was as a human being. That he was a father, he had a daughter. That if anything should happen to him, his daughter was going to be suffering. That he should be without a dad for the longest time. That he had family members and so forth. Try to give a little feeling to them that who he was as a person. But that apparently didn't concern them. They just wanted what they were there to do, and didn't matter what it was that was in the way, they were going to get it.
Yeah. Did they have a long rap sheet? Certainly in these cases, this is not a first offense usually for people who are prone to commit these types of acts. Did they have a long rap sheet?
Yes, they did. We found out they had a really long rap sheet afterwards during the second week of the trial when it goes into the punishment, when they try to see exactly what their background was. And they did have a long sheet of between shootings. They would go in bars and shoot just for the heck of shooting, going neighborhoods and shooting also, drive-bys. They had, in fact, they had a case on a particular girl that was kidnapped for about a period of almost a week.
Yeah.
And they had her in there, and she was going through rapes and abuse and the whole 9 yards with her in there. They would rob houses, and just for the kicks of it. And there was a particular situation when they went into a house, and there was a young boy that had been sick in the house, and when they actually went in the house, they found him in there, and to keep him quiet, they just beat him up.
Wow. We were looking at some of the family photos with you and your brother Jose and some other family members. Just a beautiful family.
Thank you.
And from you can just tell by looking at the photo that it's a close-knit family. And there's Jose. He's the biggest one in the group.
Yes, he was. Yes,
isn't he? I can only imagine how hard this had to be for your family to endure this type of loss, and then to have to go through this painful trial, and then to finally get to this day of execution. Can you speak about that?
Sure, I can. It was extremely difficult for the family. Everybody was in shock when the whole thing happened, because we were in denial, I guess, that it couldn't have happened. And, the way my brother was, he was a very big man physically as well in intellectual. He was also very, high in his status. That affected everybody in the family. And then towards the trial, it affected everybody, how things were being presented. And towards the end, when we went to the execution, I don't know, I guess this is probably my own personal opinion in reference to it, because my brother suffered approximately 2 hours of his life, of his last breath, trying to survive or trying to live, just gasping for air for 2 hours trying to survive when he was shot. And when I went to the execution, I see Gutierrez, and he was just joking around like like nothing was going on. And he just looked at his family and took a deep breath, and that was it.
You wanted to see him suffer?
I guess probably it would have given me a little bit better satisfaction because of what he did to my brother. What so much pain he caused in my family. And as of today, it hurts. We go to the cemetery and we see my brother's grave, we still can't believe that he's there.
Yeah.
It's just really difficult to understand that, or even to accept it.
Yeah. My final question: what happened to the other defendant in this case? What did he get?
Arroyo also had a death sentence, but since at the time he was a minor under the age of 18, the law that was changed, he's actually in general population, and I believe he's in. He will have parole within 40 or 41 years from now.
Yeah.
And there was a third person as well. Sanchez, I believe this was his last name, not Sanchez. I can't remember. Christopher.
Sure.
Christopher was his first name. And he is eligible for parole. I believe it's like 18 years from now.
Yeah. Well, our heart goes out to you. Certainly, this is a very, very tough thing for anyone to have to endure, and we thank you for sharing your story and your family's story with us here on Art Fennell Reports.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck to you.